I'm glad we got all that out of the way. We've got some gifts out there, make everybody a little bit happier here during the closing hours of this great event. So I thank you all for sticking around and listening to me talk. So I'm going to tell you all right away, I'm not a coder. I'm not my technology background is in nuclear engineering, so I can't, everything that you said about serverless, I have no idea what you were talking about. But thankfully, I work with a lot of great people that actually do, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to use coding as an example when we discuss what type of training is actually required for technology careers. So first off, I'd like to ask a question here. How many here consider yourselves coders, like do work in coding, that kind of thing? Okay, quite a few. Actually, not as many as I thought. Of you guys, how many of you have a degree in coding, like IT, ICT, something like that? Okay, great. There's not a lot of us that do, right? And I think this is one thing I want to keep in mind as we continue on through this discussion here. And my personal background, we'll talk about a little bit more. But like I said, I spent 10 years in nuclear engineering. I worked as a nuclear reactor operator, both in the U.S. military and in the civilian world. And then I've come back. I've lived here in Montenegro for about six years now. And we started a company that we focus on international economic development. And in Montenegro specifically, we're focused on the technology sector and trying to build infrastructure around the technology sector. So my name is Donovan Libby. In this talk, we're going to discuss the question, do technology careers require a degree? It seems logical. Technology careers is a wide variety of projects, highly technical. There's a lot of moving parts. Most of the times, literally, there's moving parts. And so most people assume that it is something that requires a great degree of education. But is education and a college degree the same thing? So over the next few minutes, I'll discuss with you my philosophy on this and the projects that we're doing here in Montenegro to kind of help create an environment for coders and people to learn as they go. So, as I said, I'm the managing partner of TLG Global. We're an international economic development company, and we believe in this maxim, that talent is distributed everywhere in the world, but opportunity absolutely isn't. So we've dedicated ourselves to trying to build economic conditions in emerging markets that offer a way to improve the per capita income of the population. So we've started our projects here in Montenegro. Montenegro is, for us, a proof of concept and make sure that this project works, which then we intend to export to other emerging markets around the world. So, looking at Montenegro, my partners and I assess that the technology sector is the best way to go about developing that per capita income increase in Montenegro. So we've set about trying to work toward that. So some people might ask, why? So aside from the fact that we just like Montenegro, specifically, technology careers are the fastest way to increase a person's earning capacity. Right? If you want to go to, say, financial services or something else, or law, or it takes a lot of extensive education, advanced degrees, things like that. But because technology careers are so in demand, and because the very entry level can be accomplished at a young age, it's a way that we can start building up that capacity. So the challenges here are that there's finding skilled talent. So part of what we're doing is not just education. Part of what we're doing is we're looking at creating startup opportunities. We're looking at creating our own companies, our own software companies, and bringing in staffing. So every company that's trying to come in here from a staffing perspective, I'm sure a lot of you work for remote companies, and probably, maybe some of you work for local companies as well, but I'm guessing probably 50, 60% of you work for a remote, or some kind of remote company. So one of the problems that these companies have is they'd love to work here in Montenegro because it's a little bit cheaper to find good talent than it would be, say, in California, right? So what we're looking for here is trying to create that talent pool and expand it to provide more opportunities. So let's look at somebody who has a history of identifying talent, and I think we can all agree is a kind of a controversial figure, but he's definitely successful in his field. So Elon Musk is kind of the poster child for the idea of talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. Elon Musk is from South Africa. You know, he grew up in that area. He was obviously he came from some money, but he grew up in a place that doesn't have, it's not known for its technology centers. So Elon Musk ended up traveling to California via Canada so he could start his career in the technology space. And he started a few companies you may have heard of, Zip2, X.com, PayPal, or co-founded I should say, PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX. I hear he even bought another company recently. I'm not sure about that. But that's one of those things. Mr. Musk has a unorthodox approach to business, shall we say. This is one of my favorite quotes of his. Generally, when he's looking for talent, he looks for things that are evidence of exceptional ability. I don't even care if somebody graduated from college, high school, whatever. Did they build some really impressive device? Win some tough competition? Come up with some really great idea? Or solve some really tough problem? A couple key phrases there I want to focus on. In particular, I want to focus on evidence of exceptional ability. So what he's looking for is that somebody has shown that they can do the job. It doesn't matter how they have shown that they can do the job. If it's a 4-year degree, that's great. He of course hires people that do that. But that's not the only thing he does. Let's look at some of those others. He showed us how he can find the evidence. Win some really tough competition. Build some really impressive device. Win some tough competition. Come up with some really great idea and solve some really tough problem. Build, win, great ideas, solve a tough problem. All of these examples are third-party evidence that you know what you're doing, which is the exact same thing that a college degree gives you. College is one way to learn things like computer programming, that kind of stuff, but it's not the only way. The degree itself is evidence that you learned the skill enough that somebody can say, hey, that person knows what they're doing, I can take a chance on them, I'm going to invest capital in that person as an employee, hopefully that returns to me. All right? However, these other ways are unique. Build some really impressive device. If I can see that you've done an app, a solar-powered car, or something, and then I can say, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Clearly you built that, you know what you're doing. So I'm interested in hiring you. That's third-party validation. I can physically see it, right? Win some tough competition. This is what the kind of startup community is famous for. We have our pre-accelerators, we have startup accelerators, we have incubators, we have whatever, and they all do competitions. With the general idea being, hey, is this idea something that's relevant, that's worthwhile of investing? Winning those startup competitions is the initial stage that a lot of VCs look for in trying to understand whether or not they're going to invest in their product. But it's also, we have other competitions, again, specifically in the United States, for like robotics competitions, things like that, which is people like Elon Musk look for those winners, and they might hire them straight out of school without the degree or without however they've done it. The other ones, come up with some really great idea, solve a really big problem. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is about solving problems. You identify a problem and you solve it. And if you are successful, that means that the market has determined that you are pretty successful at solving that problem. People have given up their money, their hard-earned money, and given you a validation that you've actually achieved something. So, a college degree is one way of getting that validation, of that third-party evidence. But as we've seen, there's a lot of other ways to go about doing that. And in some other ways, you can save a lot of time and money, depending on, if you're in the United States, it costs a lot of money to go to school. So how historically have we been able to do this before? Because the modern university system is relatively recent in history. What we call apprenticeships is one of the best ways you can look at for how historically people were able to identify craftsmanship and craftsmen as exceptional abilities. So a craftsman back in the late Middle Ages is how the system of apprenticeship started. A skilled craftsman would take on a younger worker, and that younger worker would provide them, menial labor, would clean their shop, make their food, something like that, and then they would go about, and in return they would be taught a skill. They'd be taught how to continuously work on something. And by the time they were ready to leave, that craftsman gives them the stamp of approval that, yes, this person knows what they're doing. So when I go and open up my blacksmith shop somewhere else, I can say, hey, I learned under Varus. And Varus is the guy that taught me, and he said, okay, now maybe you know what you're doing. So that's kind of the historical start. This trend continued until about the mid-1970s, particularly in the US. In the 1970s, we started to see a really interesting trend. Apprenticeships started going down. Now, it was successful up until that point. In fact, if you look at the stats, at that time in the United States, 16% of men and 9% of women, 6.9% of women had a 4-year college degree. But the purchasing power of their wages was 4% higher than it is today. That means they could buy 4% more stuff relative to their wages as we could buy now. However, in 2021, the numbers are quite a bit different. 36.6% of men and 39.1% of women had a 4-year degree. But we lost the ability to actually generate income, to generate worthwhile income, I should say. Doesn't seem like a very good trade-off. Doesn't seem like a very good investment. I spend a lot more money to go to college, time, 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, however long it takes you to go to college. I spend a lot more investment to get a very bad return, right? So it doesn't seem like it was a good idea. So what happened? Why did this trend suddenly change? I mean, who willingly goes for an extra 4 years to school if they don't really have to, right? The reason is they had to. Companies started requiring 4-year degrees as before they started to go into a job. And the reason for that is in the 1970s, as you all well know, the information age started. Computers became ubiquitous in all sorts of industrial settings, in places where they weren't at one time before. And managers decided that, this new machine or this new facility, this new ability that we need to know, my workers can't do this. And instead of training them, I can just hire somebody that's already been trained by a degree, by a factory, by a college, and I can say, hey, that person has expansive skill set. I'm going to put them in here. I'm going to make that a requirement for this job. And theoretically, that person should be able to master the extra technology. Didn't really work that well. Productivity didn't stay the same. And it hurt the actual people that are going through. Now, companies realize that skilled labor has gone down, and they're now not requiring 4-year degrees anymore for jobs that don't need them. You guys might be wondering why this has anything to do with us here. This is an IT conference, correct? I'm getting to that. All right. I'd like you to think of entry-level coding now. So entry-level coding, consider it as a skilled labor practice. And I'm differentiating this from, say, the higher order management level, R&D type work, things like that. Say, I just need somebody that can go in and type modules that will actually do what I need them to do. All right? I need somebody that just can do the scut work, as it were. Entry-level coding, to me, is similar to, say, plumbing is a good example. If I'm a plumber, if I hire a plumber, I pay that plumber very well. In fact, in the United States, I pay that plumber better than I would pay an engineer, right? But that plumber is not capable, he doesn't have the skill set to necessarily design the whole house piping systems. He doesn't know the fluid dynamics, the head pump requirements, the metallurgy requirements. He doesn't know that. He doesn't need to know that. He needs to know that my toilet won't work, please fix it, right? And sometimes that requires ingenuity, it requires creativity. But that plumber was managed, he now knows exactly what he needs to do to fix that. He knows the systems, he knows how it does. He's a true craftsman. Just like a coder can be. If they stay in that job working, you become an expert in that field. You become an expert in making something quickly, productive, efficient. You can create that system, which is of supreme value to people like me, to managers that need things completed quickly and well, right? And yes, eventually I'm going to need an engineer. I'm going to need a computer scientist. I'm going to need somebody that can develop the whole theoretical framework. But 95% of the time, I just need somebody that can do the job I asked them to do initially. All right? So that's what we're looking at with entry-level coding. So here in Montenegro, there's not a lot of educational abilities for entry-level coders. I think from 2010 to 2020, Montenegro graduated about 1,000 people in various ICT career fields, all right? I mean, that's 1,000 people over 10 years, right? And so obviously some people went other places, got their degrees, came back, things like that. So, but still, we have a very low amount of skilled workers here. And I think a lot of you have come from other places around the world, and we've seen a massive influx of good, well-trained IT people in Montenegro recently. But Montenegro itself still needs this capability, right? And so one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to help create that. So our method is through Coding Giants franchise. One of the first projects that our company brought in is a computer programming school for young people. And there are a few of them here. I think Kyber 1 is actually out there as well. And our plan, our goal here is to create a sequential training program that takes children from no coding ability whatsoever up to C# proficiency. And then when they develop some C# capabilities, they will then be able to specialize in cybersecurity with Kali Linux expertise, in Unity, in graphics design. We have some graphics design courses that we offer. So as I said, I am not a coder, I'm a manager, but I'm very lucky. I have some great teachers that work for me, and they are actually experienced. I have a couple of them here in this office, in this auditorium right now, and they're all experienced coders. That's why they're here. They're all experienced developers themselves, and they work with me to help teach kids this product. And we're trying to bring that here in Montenegro and trying to make, a way for Montenegrins to actually enter this space so that they can increase their standard of living, increase the average per capita income, as we discussed before. That's our ultimate goal. Now, it's not just for us, it's not just this training program. This is a good training program. This particular program has been used in, I think, 100 different markets around the world, and we're just bringing it to Montenegro. What we're adding to it, though, is the apprenticeship program. So, TLG Global, my company that owns the Coding Giants franchise here, we're also working with taking the best students that we can find in our classes, and we're trying to put them and match them with developers here in Montenegro so that they can go and learn from actual developers, whether it's via internships, mentorships, something to that effect, and actually learn what it takes to be a true developer, right? We teach them how to type stuff into a computer, but the actual developer here is they're the ones that actually create how to create an app, how to go through the workflow to actually create an app, how to talk to a customer, that kind of thing. So by the time that they're 18, they can take the entry-level tests and get into a job as a very low-level programmer. They can start providing for their family, maybe part-time, maybe while they're going to school, something like that. But that is what our ultimate goal here is. And we're creating a new version of apprenticeship here through that. So our vision is that every emerging market in the world be given the opportunity for the next Elon Musk to rise. And the only way to do that is by giving as many people as possible the chance to develop skills that they may not otherwise have, and to have those skills tested so that they can be trusted by an employer. As we said, a college degree is one way to show that third-party evidence of exceptional ability, but it's not the only way. My team and I are trying to build a program that will provide this training and evidence of ability for the greatest number of potential workers possible. Our goal is to use that new system of apprenticeship along with other projects to create a human capital and infrastructure needed here in Montenegro to help the technology sector here grow and provide that increase in per capita income that we so desire. In a general sense, the new apprenticeship model should be economical training and encouragement from a very young age and skills that will be relevant for a lifetime and are able to be continuously built on. When skills are developed and nurtured, when experience is gained, that's what sets the conditions for productivity and for greatness. Thank you. Questions?
First question from me. If someone of us want to have a mentorship for the kids, how we can contact you or something like that? What programs do you have and so on?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We would love to have anybody's interest in that. So codinggiants.me, you will find that's our Coding Giants website, and tlgglobalcorp.com. That's my company's website. If you want to send us, our contact information is on those websites. And send us any information, and we'll get in touch with you, myself, my program manager, one of our other team members, and we'd love to have a chance to chat with you guys.